Hey, I'm Josh Keaton. You may know me as Shiro on Voltron Legendary Defender, or as Hal Jordan on Green Lantern the Animated Series, or Spider-Man in the Spectacular Spider-Man, he does, or Young Hercules in the Disney movie. Those are probably some of my more memorable roles. Yeah, Momocon 2018, and I'm showing with all the games. So let's do this. Hey.
What made you first take an interest in acting?
I have been, I guess, a performer for most of my life. When I was little, I got started as a child actor. And my parents basically did that to keep me from embarrassing them everywhere else. Because I would get on the tables at, like, Burger King and, like, dance. I was obsessed with He-Man back in the 80s, and my grandma made me a He-Man costume, which I would wear to the grocery store. And I would run around the aisles screaming, I have the power, and I had my sword and everything. Now, keep in mind that the He-Man costume is really just like a harness and briefs.
Yeah, I was about to ask how that worked out.
Yeah. I mean, so 4-year-old me was running around with that on at the grocery store. I had cowboy boots, too, just because I think that it added to it. And a cape, because I thought He-Man was missing a cape. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty much what they had to do so that I had an outlet for all of this crazy stuff that I would do. And so I got started in it originally because my older sister, my 3 sisters, so my older sister's an actress as well, and she got started through talent shows. She would do like singing competitions, and so she got an agent from that. And she was on this audition for a commercial, and I wasn't in the business yet, but my dad worked 3 jobs, and my mom was schlepping my sister around to audition, so I had to go with her because I couldn't stay home by myself. I ended up getting this commercial, which I wasn't even there to audition for. My sister didn't. She probably still hates me because of that. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of my first thing, and that got me started into it. I started, just doing more on-camera things as a child. Not a lot of voiceover back then because, at least at that time, they used adults more for child voiceover roles because they could work longer, they were easier to direct, all of that. But there were some things that still insisted on kids. Like Peanuts, and so I was the voice of Linus. I think that was my first voiceover role, was the voice of Linus. So a couple of the specials, a couple of Peanut specials, a couple of like insurance ads, and then the ball just started rolling from there.
So
yes,
first of all, love you, Spider-Man.
Thank you.
Love it. Play Marvel vs. Capcom all the time. I'm all like web swing,
web swing.
So, but your roles have an incredibly dynamic range. And that has proven effectively, it's made your career more illustrious, but I want to know, like, is it a challenge for you to bring not only, like, the Shiro, but then the Spider-Mans and the Happy, the Go-Luckies? Is it a challenge to bring each and every one of those to those individual roles?
I would say, yeah. There is, because Shiro is so much more reserved, so is Hal. Hal does have a little bit of that cockiness, but he doesn't really let it come out as much as a Spider-Man. Or a Flash or something like that. So I would say that sometimes compartmentalizing them gets to be a little challenging because sometimes I'll be too stuck in this role. If like, let's just say I did a week of Shiro pickups and now I got to audition for something that he's like 15 and he's happy-go-lucky and he's coming of age and he sees things from a very young point of view versus Shiro who's seeing things from a much more jaded point of view. But that's acting. There's certain things that I have to do to kind of get me back there. With Shiro, I have to get into his posture and do push-ups. I can't right now because I just had surgery on my shoulder. But so Shiro's going to be kind of tough. But for the other stuff for Spider-Man, a lot of it comes from physicality. Like if I have the blood pumping, then I can be a lot more higher energy. So a lot of times when I would be doing Spider-Man sessions, I'd be doing jumping jacks in the corner for like the whole session. I'd be drinking soda and caffeine, just like wiring myself up so that I could be Spider-Man. But yeah, it definitely gets challenging to manage the 2 different energy levels because they are such polar opposites. Yes.
Who were some of your influences and heroes that you looked up to really in your career?
Oh, let's see. On camera, off camera. Look, I love a lot of the people that are playing the heroes now in the current universe. Like Robert Downey Jr. is my Iron Man, and Hugh Jackman is my Wolverine. But growing up, like, I took most of it from cartoons. So, I mean, yeah, I was watching He-Man, I was watching Transformers. Frank Welker and Peter Cullen are like massive influences on me. Just anything that I would have listened to growing up, really. Like, those were huge influences on me in terms of voiceover and finding characters. Like a lot of the classics, a lot of the stuff that was around in the 80s. You still saw a lot more Hanna-Barbera and a lot more old Disney than you do now. It was just a different type of storytelling that was done back then versus now. It's a lot faster paced now. But I took a lot of my influence from that stuff because that's what I grew up with. I mean, even something as simple as like storybooks. Like, I don't know if you remember the ones, the cassette. Yeah, the cassette with the read-along books, and you would put in the cassette and beep when or do a little chime when it was time to turn the page, and you would read along with that. Like, I loved those so much, and I loved having just such a simple story told to me with a really nice narrator, not even in character voice. I think in those it was just the narrator reading the whole book, and they were just comforting to me. Like, I would keep those tapes. I mean, I listened to those. I probably listened to those even in my teenage years when I just couldn't sleep. I'd just throw them on and just like listen to an old story. And I mean, that so much of what I do comes from that early stuff. And but yeah, I mean, hero wise, it's kind of weird that a lot of the heroes that I read about and that I really really enjoyed, I've managed to play. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's kind of surreal. It's surreal. But yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the on-camera people who are playing the superheroes now. I mean, Christopher Reeve's always my Superman. But yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of those kind of early images of the classic superhero would be a lot of where I'm influenced from. Yes.
Considering that you have been pretty much across the spectrum, and there's very little to do for you in the superhero realm. Is there a particular hero or villain that you would like to do in the future?
I would probably want to start taking my hand more at villains because I mean I've been a lot of great heroes, and there's always new fun stuff to play, even on the hero side. But yeah, I would definitely like to start taking more of a hand at villains. I like Deadpool. I would love to give him a try. He's more of a hero anyway, anti-hero. A buddy of mine does a lot of Deadpool though, so I mean, I think he's already kind of holding it down. And then, I mean, I want to say Wolverine, but like Steve Bloom is my Wolverine, and I can't really hear myself taking him on and winning. So, I mean, it's gonna be Steve. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I probably have to look for some cool villains. I mean, maybe the Riddler, maybe some classic DC villains. I'd definitely like to take a stab at that. I think a lot of people have already done Joker. I think he's kind of got a very definitive way he's got to be played. But I think that other stuff, like, maybe some other stuff in the Batman universe would be really fun to try out.
So,
stepping into a classic franchise like Voltron, were you worried about playing a character in a franchise that people all had for so long had ideas in their head about what
I was more worried about Spider-Man because I had such a personal connection to Spider-Man, and I was a fan of Spider-Man. I knew how judgmental I would be if there was a new Spider-Man coming in, and I knew how many people were fans of the '90s series and the series before that, and so I was already coming into something that was so entrenched in the zeitgeist that I'm like, I gotta do a great job of this. But then again, I also felt confident because I'd been reading it since I was a kid, so I really felt as though I had a lot to say as Spider-Man, and so I was happy to get the chance. With Voltron, I didn't really feel as worried because even though I know that there was a big fan base for Voltron in the '80s, I knew that they were trying in this sense or in this iteration to tell their own story. And even though they were using Voltron as a template, they were also using Beast and Goliath, which had quite a few differences from the Voltron that we know in terms of story. And they also told me that it wasn't going to be Sven. His name was Shiro. He wasn't going to have an accent. And this one, he's the leader. Like there were enough different things that I really felt as though I could just have a clean slate and just start fresh. So I wasn't super nervous about Shiro. Definitely more nervous about Spider-Man, and even more nervous about Green Lantern, because even though I don't think that Green Lantern has the same fan base as something like Spider-Man, I didn't know as much about that character at all going into it. So that was something that I was learning as I went, and I still didn't want to disappoint fans of the franchise. Thank you.
For that, since you have done a lot of superhero stuff, do you, when you get those roles for, like, say, like Hal, who you weren't as familiar with,
Sure.
do you go read a lot of the
Yes.
comics, or do you take your own?
I read a ton of Hal comics, like a lot of Green Lantern comics in general, so I could get the scope of Oa and the scope of the Corps and all the, a lot of the Jeff Johns stuff. But then I did read a lot of Hal specific stuff since that was who I was playing. A friend of mine who runs a comic website, he was kind of like my sage, my mentor, he was the one that said, okay, you gotta read this, you gotta read this. And the thing is like, I kind of had to tell him that I was interested in it without giving away that I had been cast in a show, because he's also a media guy and he knows about all this stuff, and it's like I couldn't reach my NDA and say, hey, I'm in a Green Lantern show and they're making one. But I had to basically approach him like, hey, so I've been kind of interested in Green Lantern. What should I read? And so he was telling me about Jon Stewart and all of that. I was like, okay, sweet. Okay, cool. What about this Hal guy? Who's he? And then he's like, oh, you got to read this. You got to read this. So yeah. So I just kind of did it as I went. Cool. Yes.
What's something you're passionate about outside of acting?
Outside of acting, building things. I like making things. Whether it be like I just did an 18 cabinet wall in my house, and when I'm fully healed, I'm going to finish making the top for it, and trimming it, and doing all of that. I love DIY stuff. I like tinkering with cars. I love cars. I love driving. Anything technical. Anything technical, computer or engineering related. Like I love getting my hands dirty with that kind of stuff. Whether it be so I'm a gearhead. I'm a gearhead with everything. So with voiceover and music, I'm a gearhead with like audio gear. I'm a gearhead with computers. I'm a gearhead with cars. Now I have an electric car, so like now I'm all into electric cars and just anything with building. We're seeing how stuff works. Like I love watching surgery videos and seeing about the human body and how that works. I got the videos of the procedure they did on my shoulder, and I was watching those. I'm fascinated with how everything works. The universe, space, subatomic stuff, like everything. I constantly want to know how everything works. So that's definitely what I'm passionate.
Excellent, thank you.
So because your comic book mentor dumped a lot of stuff on you, what are you currently reading? What's in your personal favorites? What's like a comic book that, it's been 20 years,
so
but like I'm still going
behind right now.
We're always behind.
No, but the reason is because I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So like the last 4.5 years have just seemed like one really big long day. I'm so behind. Like I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Man. I haven't seen Avengers because I haven't seen the Captain America. I haven't seen the Captain America stuff. So I don't want to like see the newer stuff until I see the older stuff, so I can fully appreciate the newer stuff. So I'm catching up on the Caps right now. I think I've gotten all the X-Men's out of the way. Like I'm gonna get to the new Spider-Man stuff. I'm gonna get to. I saw Black Panther though. I had to go see that, and I was super pleased because whenever a movie is so hyped up, I'm always expecting to be disappointed, and it exceeded the hype in my opinion. Like I loved it. And I was so happy and that was like the first time that we've gotten a night out to actually like get away from the kids for a night and go see a movie quietly. So yeah, Black Panther was awesome. But I'm so behind. Like I want to definitely pick up. I would love to see what's happening with the Spider-Verse right now. I'd love to see what's happening with Green Lantern, and obviously those are going to be the ones that are the closest to me because I have more of an active role in following them. But I just like to get the lay of the land and see what's new since I've last been back. Yes.
How was your experience being working on Children of Evil?
It was really cool. First of all, LaShawn is amazing, and I'd never worked with him until that point. And so, just meeting him and feeding off of his energy, and like he's so well versed in so many things. And I mean, we were just talking about how I'd love to learn how everything works and is connected. And I haven't done a lot of anime, and he's like a guru when it comes to anime. So like, it was just really cool just listening and talking about it. And then him showing me project. Like, I didn't know this, but apparently he liked my audition so much that when they did the animation, I basically went in and dubbed myself because they had animated my parts to my audition, the timing and everything. So when I went in there, I was really just re-recording my audition, but it was amazing to see them how they animated Gio to what I gave them in the audition. And it was also really cool because I'm Latino and I don't really get to play a lot of Latino roles, and it was neat. It was really, really fun to be able to have a character where I could bring in my Spanish and actually speak in character and bring a different accent to something and use that part of my heritage, which doesn't really, unfortunately, get utilized all that much. So it was really cool, and it was also a part where it's not something that I've been asked to do often. So it's a way for fans to see me in a totally different light as a voice actor. A lot of people didn't even know that was me. That was that. Yes.
So, because we've covered the fact that you have such a dynamic range, you've done video games, you've done animation, you're killing it. What advice could you offer the next generations of voice actors behind you, or even just actors, performers, anyone with a creative
that wants to get into voice acting?
Yes.
I would say focus on acting more than anything, because it's not just about making a funny voice. It's not just about imitating another character that you see on TV or whatever. It's about having that character who might have a funny voice or might sound just like you. A lot of stuff that I've played sounds a lot like me. It's just a variation of my own voice. It's about sustaining that character no matter what's thrown at you. You know, can you read Shakespeare in that character? Can you sing a song in that character? Can you cry or whatever? Like, what situations? You have to be able to put that character through any situation and have it be real. And that's acting. That's not just making a voice. I would say cold reading. Cold reading is extremely important because in voiceover, more than any other business, you don't get a lot of preparation time. With on camera, because I've done both sides, with on camera, you have a lot more time. And you also have a lot of other stimuli to get you where you need to be. You have costume, you have props. I can tell you just from wearing the sling that I still have to wear from my shoulder, it affects everything I do. Just having that one prop. It affects how I move, it affects how I relate to people, it affects how I walk around. All of that stuff gets you in character. Having a set, having another actor there. And with voice acting, a lot of the times you're by yourself. You're by yourself in a soundproof box, and you have to make all of that up in your head. You have to make up the set. You have to make up the props. You have to make up not only the other character, how they would look, how they would sound, how they'd be relating to you. And so cold reading, or any kind of reading, just reading fiction, reading anything, and reading it out loud to get it off the page is going to help you make sense of it more and make sense of it quickly. So that would be the other thing. And then singing. Sing as much as you can. Even if you suck, sing anyway. Because it is like yoga for your voice. It's going to be the best workout that you can get. It's going to teach you breath control. It's going to train your ear for pitch and imitation. And, it's like one of the best things you can do. So acting training, cold reading, and singing are the best things that I can tell you. And watch people. A lot of your characters are going to come from not like the thing you saw on TV, but like your uncle who might be weird, or you know, your brother or sister who might have an interesting personality. Like all of it comes from stuff close to you. Yes.
Given the preparation that you do for each character that you do, which ones are your favorite and least favorite to get ready for?
I would say that the ones that are my favorite are the ones that are kind of easy. The ones that are like in my wheelhouse. Something like a Spider-Man or something like I guess now a Shiro. The hardest ones would be the ones where I'm really having to affect my voice in a way that's painful to sustain over time. There have been a couple characters that have had like real gravelly voices or whatever, and those are rough, man. So there's some times where I'll get cast in a part where they're extremely high pitched or they're extremely gravelly, and I'm like happy that I got the job, but I'm like, man, I got to do this for like 4 hours now, and then I'll get through that session. I'll have like no voice for a day or so. But yeah, those are always the rough ones. I try to not do that with characters whenever I can. Sometimes they need to have grit, you know. Yes.
Looking back through your resume, and I feel like for the historical record, this needs to be addressed. New Kids on the Block television series.
Yes. Yeah. I was like a little bit part in that. I don't even remember what I was. I was like some kid that they were. I don't even remember the storyline, but I was like a kid. I was a little kid and met the New Kids, and I don't even think they were playing themselves in that, which is bizarre. But yeah. Yes.
You mentioned that there's that difference between like anime versus like more like US based animation.
Mm-hmm.
So for voicing things in those different sort of mediums, they're similar. But
Sure.
what are kind of some of the differences you have to approach things?
I'd say the biggest difference is the fact that with anime, traditional anime, it's going to have been recorded in Japanese first, which means that you are going to be dubbing it. With Western animation, it's usually done the other way around, because since it's going to be originally done in English, you act it out first, you record everything first, they kind of edit together those performances, they send that to the animators, and then the animators animate based off of your voice and performance. So it's a totally different skill set. I mean, with Western animation, you're really just acting in the moment. And when you're dubbing an anime, you are very much locked into the timing and the pacing that the original performance was in, and to some extent even the energy level. Because if you're going to go and try to play this character, super suave and debonair, but the animation's all over the place, it's not really going to sync up. I mean, it might be amazing, it might be something totally unexpected and work, but most of the time you're going to have to play the character very similarly to the way the Japanese actor played it. And regardless, you are locked into that lip flap, that timing, and that pacing. So it's there's a lot more technical knowledge, I guess, not like knowledge of the technique that would go into anime, because there's a very specific technique for that kind of dubbing, versus animation where it's a bit more, Western animation where it's a bit more freeform.
That's fine. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you everybody. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.